Good morning, Magic. I'm Gavin Verhey from Wizards of the Coast, and this weekend is Strixhaven Prerelease weekend. That means you can go out to your local game store, pick up a pre-release pack, and get ready to play with friends either at home or on Spell Table online. But how exactly does that work? And how should you be building your sealed deck? Well, let me tell you all about it today. All right, so first things first. You're going to want to go out to your local store and pick up a pre-release pack. Now, if you're used to buying these normally, where there's just one version of the pack lying around, with Strixhaven, it's a little bit different. There's one for each of the 5 colleges, so you'll want to talk with your store to try and get the college you want to represent. Why does choosing your college matter? Well, inside, you'll get 5 normal Strixhaven booster packs, plus 1 college-themed booster. This themed booster is full of cards just for playing that college in those colors. So by picking the college you want to play, you'll have a higher likelihood of getting cards to build that deck. It's not locking you into playing that college, but there's a good chance if you just assemble all the cards in your pool of those colors, you'll be able to play that college without too much trouble. The thing I love about this style of pre-release is that it makes it very easy to build your deck if you want it to. You can just sit down, crack open your pre-release pack, and pick out all the cards from those 2 colors, and almost certainly have a deck you're able to build. But if you want to go down more of a rabbit hole and look at all your options, that's an option you can do too. There are no wrong choices. Pick Silverquill. But you are going to need to choose one of them. Even if you do just choose the college that you selected for your pre-release pack, you're going to need to cut a bunch of cards. And to do this, I would think a lot about what kind of deck you are and look for synergies. For every 2-color college in Strixhaven, there are multiple different strategies within. For example, in Red-White, the Lorehold, there's both a highly aggressive strategy and a much more slower controlling strategy. I would look and try and figure out which version your deck is and then try and pick the cards that go toward that strategy. Some of the archetypes will call out loudly for synergies. For example, the Green-Black Witherbloom have a life gain archetype. If you have cards that reward you for gaining life, you'll want to find all kinds of ways to gain life. And don't forget about those pest tokens. Sometimes you might want to go 3 colors. And what will normally happen here is you will pick one college as your base, for example, White, Black, Silverquill, and then pick one of its 2 neighboring colleges to align with. For example, you might pick the white side of Silverquill and decide to go Red-White to have Lorehold, or you might pick the black side of Silverquill and decide to go Black-Green and splash the green to have Witherbloom. It is pretty unlikely, although not impossible, that you would splash blue, because neither White-Blue nor Blue-Black is a college in Strixhaven. If you're going to go 3 colors, I would recommend checking on 2 things. The first thing is what your mana fixing situation is. For example, do you have the common campus lands, which are really great ways to help fix your mana and get that 3rd color. The second thing is what synergies do you have across all 3 colors. For example, in Green, Blue, Red, you can use the Prismari cards, which discard to make a treasure, to ramp into big green cards. That's pretty cool. And by looking at what your cards are telling you to do, it will tell you a lot about what kind of deck you're building. Is it a faster deck? Is it a slower deck? And what should your mana curve look like? A mana curve is very important to Limited. The idea here is you want to make sure that for many of the early turns of the game, especially turns 2, 3, 4, and 5, you will have a card that costs about that much mana to play. So you can have a creature or new threat every turn of the game. If you're playing all cards that cost 5, you're going to get run over early. But if you're playing all cards that cost 2, you're not going to have any power going into the long game. And this is where knowing what kind of deck you are can really come into play. If you're a faster deck, maybe it's okay that your deck is full of 2 and 3 drop creatures to attack your opponent, and you're not as worried about the long game. But if you're a slower deck, you're definitely going to want to make sure you have 5, 6, or even higher drops to close out the game with. Now, your deck is going to want to be about 17 lands and 23 spells and creatures. Normally, I would recommend playing about 14 to 17 creatures or so, but I will note that Strixhaven has a lot of sweet spells rolling around, not to mention those Magecraft synergies. So you might end up a little bit on the lower side of that spectrum. Now, your Strixhaven sealed deck might have more non-creature spells than normal, but don't put them on your mana curve on their mana cost unless you would actually play them on that turn. For example, a 3 mana removal spell you're not normally playing on turn 3. But a 3 mana spell that makes a token, well, that's as good as a creature. And 3 things to always be looking out for as you're building your sealed deck are bombs, what are just really powerful cards that opened up in my colors, removal spells, what can kill off my opponent's creatures, and evasion, what creatures with flying or other abilities that get through do I have? A lot of times the board will get stalled up, and being able to attack past with a flying creature or unblockable creature can be the difference between winning and losing. So you've listened to all of this advice, and you've finally built up your seal deck. What do you do now? Well, you can of course play with people at home, but one great way to play Magic online right now is Spell Table. It's built to allow you to play with other people across the internet using a webcam. So take out those paper cards and a webcam and get ready to play. You can even use your phone as a camera if you want to. It's super easy to use, and I have a video all about using it you can check out right here. Now, many game stores will be running pre-release party events online. So talk with your game store to see if there's a way for you to play against local players online using a Discord or other method they have set up. But if your local game store doesn't, or you just want an array of players from around the world, check out Strixhavenparty.com. There's a lot of information on there and a link to a Discord where players will be getting matched up from around the world. And there you have it, a quick look at the Strixhaven pre-release. If you have any more questions, you can either leave a comment down below or go check out my written pre-release primer, which I put in the description down below. I'll talk with you again on Wednesday. And in the meantime, may you have a lot of fun preparing for the Strixhaven pre-release weekend. You got this.
I didn't like how there wasn't any depth to the painting, and there wasn't any interaction with the viewer, and I really liked that. So I made the one I call number 4 here, and I thought that was too human maybe. I mean, she was supposed to be a dryad and all that. So I ended up with the one called number 3,